are the Insiders, and man, are we excited to be here today.
It's a party, baby!
Yeah. And so can we get to the we're getting there, James.
Well, let's go ahead and go there. So I think that that particular return from Tessa Blanchard probably got the most attention from Friday.
Yeah.
So obviously if you have not heard yet, Tessa Blanchard did return to TNA at Final Resolution. The rumors were flying all day about her returning at some point. I don't think any of us anticipated that it would be that night, but it happened.
Yep.
So Joe, perfect segue into this topic. So Tessa Blanchard, obviously, if you don't know her, I could sit here and go through everything for like an hour, but to be honest with you, I'm not gonna do that. So I'll just have you look up a lot of what's been alleged and why this was such a controversial move by TNA. But essentially, right around the start of the pandemic, there were a lot of wrestlers that came out and talked about Tessa after an incident where she one of the things that she did was she called a wrestler the N-word. And at the time she did not apologize. There were a lot of things going wrong, for her and Impact at the time. She no-showed some shows at one point for Impact. But the biggest thing that came out about this is obviously the racial things that happen. Referring to someone as the N-word is reprehensible. But then you started seeing other wrestlers like Chelsea Green, Allison Kay, others that had worked with her in the past, talking about how much of a bully she was. And she never really owned up to it, never really took ownership and accountability, like Conrad said. So there were a lot of people that were not looking forward to her returning. And at some point she was going to, because maybe not to TNA, but maybe somewhere else, because she is very talented. And and we see this, Joe, with other sports. I know, we're both fans of the NFL. We've seen some NFL players do some stuff in the past and they end up back on the field. And this is very akin to a situation like that for me. Personally, I will tell you that if TNA were my company, if I ran Anthem, I would have not re-signed. I wouldn't have re-signed Tessa Blanchard. I just wouldn't have. It would have been someone else's decision to make. It would have been another company that took a chance on her. It would not have been me. I am all for people getting second and third chances, but I also believe that when you do things like bullying people and it's a pattern, I think when you refer to people as racial slurs and I'm not seeing, or you haven't shown the work that you've done to show why people should give you a second chance, it's really hard for me to get on board with that. So that's my 2 cents on it, Joe. I know you said you weren't as familiar with some of the things, but just wanted to get your take on what all the buzz out there about it.
Yeah, look, it's the biggest thing, is and no, I didn't expect it to be on the pay-per-view. We had heard about it. We talked about it prior to the show. I didn't think it would be that show that they did it. I thought they'd give me, if I see, there's a couple of things that if I were running a wrestling company, I'd let that percolate a little bit before I made a debut. I would have sat on this for a while. I wouldn't have done this on this pay-per-view. I would have sat on it for a bit. Because there's a few reasons for that. One, you could have given her the opportunity to maybe say something prior. And maybe she does come out and say something. Maybe she does express some remorse, which seems to be the thing that a lot of people are hoping to hear. But there's a whole bunch of backstage rumors about how this happened. I don't know what's true and what's not. So I'm not going to say that any of it is. Supposedly it was an exec for Anthem and not the guy that's in charge now, the person they just hired that we talked about the other day. It was an exec in Anthem that did it, and that there are the part that I don't get. Okay, I understand. I understand maybe the panic. Maybe they panicked, thinking that we're losing Jordan. Jordan's our biggest female athlete that we have right now. We're losing her. She's gone. And maybe panic set in and they thought, I don't know, maybe they just thought controversy be damned. It's going to create buzz around the product. People think that way, unfortunately, in the social media era. I know plenty of them that use negativity to breed popularity. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I'm 100% against it. But it happens. And then there's rumors that Jordan isn't happy at all with it. And there's rumors that the locker, see that kind of stuff. That's if that's true, they are really, really stupid. Really, really stupid. Because then you're not only going to have the exodus of Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander and Speedball Mike Bailey, who we all know are leaving. You're going to have an exodus of more people eventually. And that's just really, really dumb and really, really bad for your wrestling company. So I'm not doubting that she is an amazing athlete. Not at all. I'm not. I know she is. And I know who who she's the daughter of. So, but with anything like this, and with all of this stuff that we hear, with anything like this, people will forgive, but you have to be remorseful. You have to come out and say something, not just ignore it and hope it goes away. You have to come out and say something. And okay, somebody's saying she reconciled with her. Okay, but maybe you still need to, you're a public figure, whether you like it or not, you're in the public eye. And so maybe reconciling with her is fantastic. And I'm glad she did that, but she also probably needs to come out and say something in public. It's who you are. And so do I like it? No, no, I don't. Now I'm kind of very sad that Jordan had to leave. And that someone thought that they had to pull an alarm button and do this maybe. And the other thing, Jeff, that I fear now is not only the wrestlers not liking this and possibly leaving, but what about WWE? What about that partnership? Are they going to like this? And if not, you're sacrificing that whole thing that could have, hell, Jeff, we just talked about this. We just talked about this during the pay-per-view and on our show, that could be something to propel them into the future, where they could go into different size arenas and things like that. Both of them could have. And if they look at this and like, we don't want that kind of smoke. We don't want that. Then boy, oh boy, Jeff, is it a bad decision? And and for a time when TNA is starting to really, really look up and really, really, is climbing. Boy, things can change really quick. Things can turn on a dime.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people like to say, all press is good press. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Coming from someone who works in the media, kind of marketing landscape, PR landscape, that's not the case at all. I hope, Joe, to your points, I hope that they did the math on all of this before they decided to bring her back. And again, I mean, we don't know what. James, you can of course ask a genuine question anytime. You don't have to ask if you can ask a genuine question.
This isn't class.
You're amongst family, so I just hope they did their homework and thought about every possible scenario that could happen as a result of bringing her back. Could you lose fans? Could you lose partnerships? Could you lose sponsorships? Could you lose certain things because you bring this person? Again, we shall see. I'm not a huge fan of it, but again, I'm all about people getting second chances, but you got to show me you've done the work. And honestly, I can't really rock with this right now. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop watching TNA. No, I'm not going to be one of those people that tells you, oh, I'm taking a stand and I'm not watching TNA. No, but I will tell you that when it comes to her, I will be very standoffish. I will take a wait and see approach when it comes to what she does there as a performer. But, I got to see a lot before I'm on board.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, James, we're waiting for your question now. Can't leave us hanging. I would hope TNA floated this by WWE. Racial slurs won't fly this way. And it's basically like she's standing in business by not apologizing publicly. We'll know from the crowd reactions at upcoming shows. You can tell the difference between a crowd booing and a heel and booing someone they really don't like. What would Tessa have to do to get people to change their minds on her and prove that TNA made the right decision re-signing her? I think just coming out with a public statement. I think just coming up, maybe filming a 5-minute video and say, I did this, but I want you all to know that I cleared it. I cleared it up with the person. Her and I are cool. And also I realized what I did was wrong and I apologize. That goes a long way. I think a public thing. I'm not saying she has to do it in a TNA ring. That would be weird.
No,
I don't want her to do it there. That's a work environment. But I would like to see something online. You have Twitter, you have YouTube, you have several ways. You have an Instagram that you can put a video on, something like that. That's what I want to see, because then you can genuinely see that and that the person at least took the time to say something. And Little Silver's comparing it to Hulk Hogan. And have people forgiven him all the way? No. There's people who can't stand him today. So, but I do think that there should be something publicly done. Yes.
Yeah. I think with her, with this situation in particular, you have to show that you are remorseful. And I think it, for me anyway, Joe, because I've heard a lot of people give public apologies for me for saying racist things or for being a bully or doing different things. Like I've heard plenty of public apologies, and to be honest with you, they just don't hold any weight to me anymore. So I have to see more. And what I mean by seeing more is maybe don't have her come out and give a public apology. But maybe from anyone that she's worked with to address this and to be accountable, like I guess my question would be, what has she done over the last 4 years to where she's taken accountability and she said, I'm going to do the work and figure out why this is so detrimental, why I cannot have language like this come out of my mouth, and why people around me that are in my circle can't have the same thought process. That's what I want to see. I want to see what work she's done. An apology's cool, that's great, but it just doesn't do it for me because, as a black man in this country, I'll just go ahead and say I've been called the N-word a lot, and many times it's happened on the job. And I've had supervisors and coworkers and stuff say, "Oh man, I'm really sorry." And what they really meant was they were sorry that they got caught. They weren't sorry that they said it. They weren't sorry that they thought it. They were sorry that they got caught. And being truly apologetic and being remorseful is different than you coming to tell me that you're sorry. It's what have you done to learn why what you did was so jacked up? Why did somebody have to twist your arm to apologize? That's what I want to hear. And until she does that, and it's not for me per se, because I'm a peon. I don't even exist. She doesn't even know I exist. But I think this is an opportunity for TNA, but I also think it's an opportunity for her. Now that they've done this, to your point, Joe, because I wouldn't have done this right now either. Now that they've done this, can you do something? Can you turn this into a positive? Not just for the wrestling business, but for society. And I know that's a big ask for a wrestling company, but I think they have that type of opportunity here. And Joe, I want to say one other thing about this because RK Shuttleworth was bringing this up, and I want to address this. We were kind of having some conversation to and from, like just about some of the circumstances surrounding this, and we were talking about the folks that have accused her of being a bully. And no, Dan, I cannot see them taking any kind of. I can't see.
No, God, no. Yeah, no.
Doing anything with her at all. I just can't. But I think when it comes down to bullying and people giving their thoughts on bullies and how someone's treated them, I think it's hard for me to look at Chelsea Green, Allison Kay, and others and say, oh, they're just lying. They're just trying to jump on the bandwagon of pushing Tessa down. I don't think that was the case at all. I think that for anyone who tweeted out support of, TNA Impact firing her and getting rid of her, I don't think that happens just because. I don't think that they're doing it just to see her go. I know a lot of people don't like her, and that's going to come with it because of her lineage, because of who her family is in the business. But I don't think people are just going to say she bullied me. And I think it's up to us to go back and listen to some of those stories and make up our own minds. none of us are going to agree. Like, I can go ahead and tell you right now, when we get to the grievances tonight, I got a lot of people in this chat that will not agree with the thing that I'm about to say. But you know what? I'm going to say it the way that I say it because it's what I feel. And you can like it, you can not like it. That's okay. But at the end of it, just because I feel the way that I feel, I don't dislike anybody who feels differently. But my experience is my experience. Yours may be different, but that's fine. All right.
Yep. Well, we knew that was going to be a thing, so we spent a little more time on it than we did. But yeah. I mean, it's a big topic, and obviously it hit the socials like mad, and it was all over the place. Probably more so than they wanted it to be, because it overtook the results of the pay-per-view. Because all that everybody was talking about afterward was this.
Yeah.
And so, we'll see, we'll see going forward. But yeah, it's definitely a polarizing topic in the wrestling world for sure.
We are the Insiders, and man, are we excited to be here today.
It's a party, baby!